Hello and welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. My name is Topher Smith, and today we head to the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia, Spain for the latest round of the Grand Prix World Series. As ever today, we're going to start off with League 2, so let's remind ourselves of the teams and drivers' standings. First of all, looking at the drivers, with Ryo Hirakawa in the lead on 59 points in the Toyota, 4 points ahead of Colton Herta in the Spiker and Yeyefei in the Prema, those two on 55 points each. Pato O'Ward 4th on 52, a race winner this season. Nick De Vries also a race winner this season, as is Gabriele Mini. They are 5th and 6th in the standings. Luke Browning in 7th ahead of Felix Rosenqvist, our reigning champion, in 8th. Roman Grosjean 9th in the second Spiker, and Igor Fraga rounding out the top 10 in the second Ram on 29 points. And in the teams, Toyota leads the way on 108 points, the first team to break into triple digits so far this season. Spiker second on 86, only 5 ahead of Ram now, with Ram closing in on that top 2. Prema are 4th on 68 points ahead of Bimota KRT on 57, Simtek on 51, Opel on 42, 40 Corsa on 33, Iron Dames on 27 and Mazda on 23, while the bottom 3 teams are Chip Ganassi on 21, Sax Speed on 15 and M Sport on 6. Those teams hoping to get themselves out of the bottom reaches of the table after today's race. We have just one driver change to bring you ahead of today's League 2 race, and that comes to the Prema team, where Mick Schumacher has been benched in favour of Tomoki Najiri, the former vice champion of the Grand Prix World Series, stepping back into a race seat once again, and he will look to make an immediate impression and impress Alex Johnston for a seat for the rest of the season. So now let's take a look at the qualifying results for today's League 2 Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. And the Toyota team has locked out the front row. Nick De Vries on pole ahead of Ryo Hirakawa. Michael Gillespie, I'm sure, will be very happy with that. Yeyefei 3rd in the Prema, less than a 10th away from the pole time of Nick De Vries, so very close there in qualifying. Daniel Kvyat's 4th in the Opel ahead of Earl Bamber in the Chip Ganassi. Colton Herta, one of our championship contenders, 6th in the Spiker ahead of Joel Eriksson. Felix Rosenqvist 8th ahead of Nick Cassidy and Luke Browning. 11th goes to our returning driver Tomoki Najiri, who will be looking to move forward into the points from that position on the grid. Ayumu Iwasa qualifies 12th, but will take a 10-place grid penalty and drop down the order, so he will be looking to make up for lost time in this race. Roman Grosjean will move up a position into 12th on the grid, then ahead of Igor Fraga and Pato O'Ward, the 2 Ram Racings together on the grid. Finn McLaughlin in the Simtek ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, Joseph Newgarden, Steph Dosdorp and Gabriele Mini in the second Bimota KRT, out-qualified by his teammates but will move up a position anyway. And at the back, Charles Mallacy, Scott McLaughlin, Leonardo Fornaroli, Dorian Pan, Jamie Chadwick and Felipe Salaquada once again propping up the field here in League 2. So with a Toyota 1-2 on the grid, can they convert that into a 1-2 in the race, or will reliability once again play its part? There's only one way to find out. Let's hand it over to Tom Cairns, who is ready and waiting in the commentary box to get this one underway. So Tom, let's hand it over to you.
Here we are in Ricardo Tormo, Valencia. Both of the Toyotas lock out the front row, but will they come away with their 3rd win of the season and take another stride towards promotion to League 1 in the next campaign? Lights are on. Lights off. It's go in Valencia. The Toyotas have got away fine. What about the Spiker of Colton Herta on the inside? He's made his way up into 3rd place from 6th on the grid. So great start. There's already a car in the barrier, and it's Tomoki Najiri who is out already. Seemed to have cut across on one of the Simtex there, but Najiri's return to the Grand Prix World Series has ended up in retirement. He's been right on board there. I believe that is Luke Browning, two of which Najiri came together with. But it's game over for the Japanese, and Najiri is out. Najiri's car behind the barrier. It's game over for him. So the Toyotas lead. De Vries leading Hirakawa. And the conclusion to the incident is that Luke Browning has been given a 30-second time penalty, a 10-place grid drop for the next round, and 6 points on his licence. So the 2 Toyotas leading. It's Yeyefei who's now the only Premier left in the race. He's in 3rd place. It's Colton Herta in 4th. And it's the Opel, Danny Kvyat in 5th, followed by Earl Bamber in the Chip Ganassi in 6th, followed by Nick Cassidy, Joel Eriksson, Luke Browning and Felix Rosenqvist in the top 10. So the last corner with the Toyotas pulling clear. I'll try and get both cars to the checker flag and finish in 1 and 2, just like they did in Curitiba earlier this season. Looking at the setups for this round, 40 and Zach Speed have gone for mid-downforce. Mazda, Chip Ganassi, Iron Dames and Toyota have all gone for neutral. Ram, mid-top speed, Prema, neutral. Simtek and Opel, mid-downforce. The Motor, Spiker and M-Sport have all gone for neutral. Seat to freeze. Leading the man who took victory in Dijon Burgoyne last time out. Hirakawa leapt into the lead in the standings ahead of Colton Hertzer. 4 points clear for him and Yifi, who's finished in the points in every single race so far this season. He's definitely one to look out for in this campaign for sure, and help promote on their way to an immediate return to the top flight next season. And there is Joel Eriksson heading through on Nick Cassidy. That is a very good pass into the last turn of the lap, and so the Opel is now at the order. Opel, who have had an upturn in form. Fiat 5th, Ericsson 7th, and they put on a surge towards finishing in the top 3, which is where they need to be in order to earn promotion to League 1. Paving the way for the bottom 3 teams in League 1 to go down. So coming into this one, 22 points clear over Spiker in second place. It's Ram in third on 81, and it's Prema in fourth on 68. One way to go yet in the season. We're already a third of the way through. Still 2/3 to go. It's an 18-round championship. We've already been to Road America, Aruba, Curitiba, Petrolo de los Funes, Sebring, and Dijon Burgoyne. I'll come back to that in a moment. So we see Hirakawa attempting to go by his teammate for the lead. How often will we see that over the course of the campaign? So it's Valencia today at Ricardo Tormo. We go to Marrakesh in Morocco, where Luke Browning will serve his 10th place grid penalty. That is subject to appeal, of course, of which Simtek team manager James Knox can decide whether he decides to get it overturned or not. He may have a case for it, considering it is a first lap incident. After Marrakesh, we go to Donington in the UK, followed by Hockenheim, Germany. And it's to Anderstorp in Sweden. And it's off to Mugello in Italy for the Grand Prix of Europe, an event which was chosen by the team managers in the Grand Prix World Series, which will be the last the European races for this season. And it's off to Asia in Vietnam in Hanoi, Sepang Malaysia, Burom Thailand. It's off to Motegi in Japan, which will be the Grand Prix of Asia. And we've got our last 2 championship rounds of the season in Phillip Island, Australia, and Manawatu, New Zealand. Once that is over, we've got the non-championship Macau Grand Prix, involving the 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. Felix Rosenqvist made a mistake on the exit of the last turn, and that allowed Roman Grosjean to go through and up into the points. Rosenqvist has other ideas. He's come straight back at the Spiker, so it feels like 40 have got a little bit more straight line speed in them compared to the Spiker. Back to the front with Hirakawa still on the tail of De Vries. It feels like Hirakawa is quicker at this stage. He might be on a lighter fuel load compared to what De Vries has on his machine. You can see there's a distinct gap between those two and the rest. It's far from being a foregone conclusion in this. Pit Yiafi running in 3rd place, and now we look to the back of the field. That is Philip Salaquada in the Zac Speed, running in 24th position, ahead of the Iron Dames of Jamie Chadwick. There we see the only retirement of the race, Tommy Kinijiri out at turn 1 on the opening lap. And there goes Hirakawa on De Vries, not quite there just yet. You can see how frustrating this is being for him at the moment. Looking at the championship standings in League 2 for Nick De Vries, goes into this 5th in the standings, 10 points off the lead. Did come home in 6th place, but he had to come in with some form of an issue. Dijon going last time out. He's already failed to finish 3 times this season as De Vries. Hirakawa twice. And on lap number 6, some drivers will be doing the 2-stop, others will try and do the 1. We expect the 2-stoppers to start coming in, and just before I go on to that, we see Hertz go through on Yi, but Earl Bamber's engine has expired. That's a body blow for Kieran McGinley's team. They're looking for an improvement in form at the moment, but Earl Bamber's race is going to end on the sidelines again. Retired in the opening 2 rounds, and he also retired in the closing laps as well in Curitiba, if you remember. There goes Luke Bronin through. Oh, he might be feeling McLaughlin actually. No, I think it is Luke Bronin. Because now Rosenquist has gone through, and Grosjean got held up, and he's been passed by Pato Award, so that's not going to please the Frenchman one bit. Bamber on lap number 7 is going to pull off the circuit. He's already passed pit entry at the last time around, so I don't expect him to make his way back into the pit lane on this lap either, should he make it that far. And now he's becoming a problem to the field, and you can see the Mazda going one way, and then, oh, that's contact there from one of the M spots running into him. That might get looked at. No, it was the M spot of Charles Malaysi. I don't think was there a lot he could have done there. Maybe a case for that, but Bamber is trailing around with an alien engine, so don't expect a lot to be made. And in fact, with that front wing damage that Bamber had been able to sustain, has proved to be a blessing in disguise, because now he's taking the opportunity to come into the pit lane to get it repaired. No fuel is going in, but at least he's managed to stay in the race. He's pretty much going to be at the back for the remainder of this one now. Drops to 25th and last position. No further action is going to be taken involving Bamber and Malaysi. We look at Dorian Pan being overtaken by Leo Fornaroli. Pan had a strong run in the points. Dijon going before she retired. The reigning F1 Academy champion. Isn't having the best of races so far, trailing at the back of the pack, but there is a long way to go, as I've already mentioned. This lead to Valencia Grand Prix. Or Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix, I should say. There is an early pit stop for Jamie Chadwick, and she's come in with an electrical issue. It's her race also compromised, and then she stays in this race. What I was going to go back to was the fact that there'll be some drivers going for the 2-stop, others will be doing the 1. stoppers are expected to come in around about laps 17 to 21. Non-stoppers will come in around about lap 27 to 31. That would be my estimation. Now the Toyotas at the head of the field. The lap times they've been sending all the way through, it's likely that they'll keep hold of the fastest lap. They've got the pole position point as well, so I think Mike Gillespie can put the cap on 2 points he's going to be getting from this one. It's just a matter of whether either of these will make it to the end. And there we see Scott McLaughlin in the Mazda, overtaking the Sax speed of Steph Dusseldorp for 16th position. There you see the Toyotas first and second. The League One race to come later, so do not go anywhere. Topic of Luke Browning, with the penalty point system this season it's 12, which you would have to get for a race ban. Those points that Browning has picked up, I think were his first 6 penalty points this season. So he's not close to a race ban yet. Number 11 is DeFries leading the way. It's Hirakawa second. It's Yiafi in third. Danica Fiat's up to fourth now, ahead of Colton Herter. It's Joel Eriksson sixth. Nick Cassidy seventh. Luke Brown in eighth with that 30-second time penalty hanging over him. He's eighth on the road at the moment. Potter Award ninth for Ram. And in 10th position is the 40 of Felix Rosenquist. See the two leaders coming out of the final corner. Hirakawa maybe in range to attack. DeFries has gone earlier than before, and Hirakawa is on the inside, but DeFries is able to resist, and he holds on to the lead for now. Further back we see Yi and Kafia. Pan going through on Philip Salaquada for 22nd place. Alabama's run about 18 seconds behind this battle after he was able to make his way back to the pit lane. In the Opel, running strongly. Fiat got his first podium a couple of rounds ago in Sebring. Opel continue that form here. Looking at where everyone is in the orders. Kafir goes on the inside of Yi, and he's done it. Into third place goes Danica Fiat. That move had been coming all along, and he's made it stick. Brilliant stuff there from Fiat. Got a pit stop now involving the other Opel, Joel Eriksson, so he's having to come in for his first stop, and I think this is a premature one for the Swede. And Nick Cassidy, who's been running in the points, having a good run. Oh, he's been punted off the circuit there by Steph Dusseldorp. That might get looked at by the stewards, because that could have caused problems for everyone else. on the racing line. Needed to have got off at turn 1 in my view. Cassie out of the race and goes no further. That's the second driver out of the race. Gearbox failure for the Kiwi. Actions going to be taken involving Dusseldorp and Cassidy. Laps completed now. The two Toyotas. And there is Yi, who's now back ahead of Kvyat. And then we look at Dusseldorp, the promoter of Iyumu Iwazu, who sends one up the inside, and he's doing to the top 15. It's top 10 who get points in this. As you see Grosjean pushing hard, closing in on Felix Rosenqvist for 8th position. He's been able to get by Fraga. Two Toyotas of Hirakawa and De Vries. Leading the way. De Vries is down 1 position from his grid spot. Hirakawa is up 1. In fact, Hirakawa is now in the lead ahead of De Vries, so we didn't see the overtake that Hirakawa made, but we now know that he's in the lead, and I think that move had been coming all along as well. And we'll see what pace Hirakawa is able to show between now and when he comes in for his first stop. Feels like he's lighter on fuel though, compared to De Vries. Yi is in the same position as before, Kvyat the same, Herter is up 1, Luke Browning is up 4, he has that 30-second time penalty hangover, remember. Ward is up 8. And Rosenqvist is in the same position as where he was on the grid. The battle involving the M Sport of Leo Fonoroni, who's behind Gabriele Mini in the promoter. Ranger in the top 10, Grosjean started this race. Outside the top 10, so 13th on the grid, is now up into 9th place. Igor Fraga, so 14th, is up into 10th, he's up 4. Stretch the margin to 1.1 seconds over De Vries. Hirakawa will be conscious of where he'll feed back out once he does come in for his first stop. Just reminding the Toyotas are on the neutral setup for this race. As far as this round is concerned. Nearest rivals, Spiker on 5th and 9th. UV in 3rd place, carrying all the hopes for Bremer now with his teammate already out. It's not been the best start. He's returning the car there for Tom Kinijiri. Kvyat. Position. Starting another lap. I think Hirakawa has been able to stretch out the margin by another 4 tenths. We've got pit stops over at 40 and Ram. Felix Rosenqvist and Igor Fraga have made their way into the pit lane. I think someone else has gone in as well. It's Scott McLaughlin for Mazda. McLaughlin in. The exact speed of Philip Salaquada. He's gone into pit road. It's been a good start. To Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. First time hosting a Grand Prix World Series round. It's hosted a round in the Nations Cup in its first season. And then we look at Pan being passed there by Joel Eriksson. Came in for a stop earlier. Behind Pan is El Bamba. Will be on fresher tyres to the French woman. UV third, don't give it a fourth. Tony Giovinazzi has gone into the pit lane for 40. So make a return to the points. Ewan Wazza has also decided to come in for his first stop in the promoter. Best of the rest at the moment in third place, whilst the two Toyotas are continuing to scamper off into the distance. Jamie Chadwick in for Iron Dames. It's her second stop of the race already. Imagine that Hirakawa will pit in at the end of this lap. See what DeFries decides to do. DeFries decides to do as well. Well, Hirakawa has continued on. DeFries has also opted to stay out. Joel Eriksson gets held up by Leo Fornaroli. Fornaroli got held up by someone who was going into the pit lane, and that allowed Eriksson to sneak on through. Gabriele Mini, I think, came into the pit lane, and Fornaroli had to slam on the brakes to avoid running into him. That's exactly what happened. It was all Joel Eriksson needed to go on through. Back into 12th place now. Sean Malace is the next driver to chase. Nel Bambo is in for his second stop of the race as well. Seconds between Hirakawa and DeFries. Salaquada now has had to come in. That's his second stop already, so he's picked up some form of problem. That's the Czech Republican. Fairway marking this. So far so good for the two Toyotas, but happen in the Grand Prix World Series. Can all change in a flash. Yeah, Fornaroli decides to come in for M Sport. Philip Salaquada has come out in last place. He's a lap down on the leaders. There is Nick DeFries in second place, 3.5 seconds off Hirakawa. There goes Bamba on Iwaza for his 20th position. Fornaroli's just come out of the pit lane. behind Jamie Chadwick. And it's pit stop time at Toyota. It is Ryo Hirakawa, first to go in at the end of lap 20. Let's leave that to his teammate. Yiafi and Danica Fiat are also in. Herta goes up to second as we see Ericsson stop behind Malaysia still. Can he maybe complete an undercut on the likes of Yiafi Fiat? Or well, we'll come back to that in a moment. We've got the sack speed of Steph Dusseldorp slowing in the... That's the sack speed pulling off the circuit at turn 1. And staying out of everyone's way. It's a shame there for Steph Dusseldorp. And that's a pass from one of the Simtex going through on Ryo Hirakawa. That's Theo McLaughlin. Steph Dusseldorp retires with gearbox failure, just like what happened to Nick Cassidy not too long ago. Now they will want to get that car over the barrier, which they do now. And it's De Vries's turn to come in. One lap after his teammate. And another retirement, this time for Gabriele Mini. The Motors' fortunes aren't getting any better at the moment. Nothing's gone right for them since their maiden win at Road America. So Pato Ward and Colton Herta have also entered the pit lane for Ram and Spiker. Hirakawa is coming out of the last corner. He's stuck behind Scott McLaughlin. There they are, and I think De Vries is ahead of his teammate. And that's because Hirakawa had lost time in the pit lane with all the traffic, and he's been stuck behind a group of cars since he came back out. So the overcut for De Vries has paid off massively for him. Rather with Joel Eriksson, if you remember, he pitted prematurely. He's in 3rd place. And that's De Vries going through on... It might have been Hirakawa through on Dorian Pan, thinking of it. So the leader of the race is Luke Browning, but he's yet to stop. Roman Grosjean has come in from 2nd. Now look at Charles Malaysia holding up Nick De Vries. And then we look at Felix Rosenquist in the 40. Opting to go for the 1 stop. So I think anyone that's not pitted yet in this race are committed to the 1 stop. There goes Fraga on Malaysia into turn 2 at Doing Curve. Now Joel Eriksson is way before the others did, albeit prematurely. End up taking the lead once Luke Browning comes in. It's a shame that Luke Browning has that penalty, because it would have put him in the fray for the race win. I'll tell you what, if he does win the race on the road, I wouldn't be at all surprised if team manager James Knox decides to appeal it. Because I do feel he may have a case on the incident involving Browning and Tomoki Najiri. Hirakawa taking 2 in one go on Malaysian McLaughlin there. Great pass from Ryo Hirakawa at the last turn. That's him through on the M Sport and the Mazda. And there's has De Vries gone in? De Vries is back in the pit lane. It's a loose wheel for Nick De Vries. Reliability has hit the Toyota again. That's forced him into the pit lane. No fuel is going to be added, so De Vries will have to pit in again before this race is over. And that changes things. Maybe look at Newgarden. He misses a gear. The left-hander. Hirakawa's next driver he'll be chasing is Antonio Giovinazzi, who's another one of those who had also pitted. So it feels like the undercut has proved to be as effective as well as the overcut, depending on track position. Rosenquist, no doubt. Keeping his eye on Ericsson, who has already pitted. But Rosenquist has yet to make his one and only stop. Browning is committed to doing the one stop, as is Fraga, I believe. Unless I'm wrong with Fraga. He might have pitched in for his first stop. It's no longer in Toyota's hands right now. And there is Ericsson. It's Rosenquist right on his tail now. See Herzog, P11, not anymore. He's now ahead of Charles Malaysia for 10th on the road. And there goes Rosenquist and Ericsson for P2. And a new fast up of the race going in the way of Danica Fiat. So Danica Fiat running outside the top 15. I wonder if he had to pit in again with some form of issue. He's on fresher tyres now. He's just putting a new fast up of the race, a 1 minute 13.1. There's Luke Browning having no such issues at the front. Doesn't need to be fighting with anyone right now. Hirakawa going up the inside of Antonio Giovinazzi into 5th on track. Chasing the Iron Dames of Dorian Pan. And there goes... Oh, that's Fraga out. Fraga has picked up a puncher and it's race over, unfortunately, for the Ram driver. Puncher on the rear left has forced him to retire. Browning was to pit in this lap, where would he feed back out? Right aboard with gear feed. Goes up the inside of Charles Malaysia for 12th. Now, Earl Bamber has managed to get himself back into the fray here after being at the back earlier when he had to pit in for a new nose section whilst he had that engine issue. There is Browning, still leading. Rosenquist has got the gap down to 6.9 seconds. There goes Bamber on Malaysia into P13. Dorian Pan gets overtaken by her teammate Jamie Chadwick for position. Chadwick through to 17th. This has been a stunning drive so far from Luke Browning. Quite at the halfway point. He will want to be in front of Rosenquist before he ducks in. And there he is. Here we go into the outside of Joel Eriksson. That's a superb overtake from Ryo Hirakawa on Joel Eriksson. What a move from the Toyota. Hirakawa up into 3rd place. Felix Rosenquist next up. already pitted in twice in this race. He's outside the top 15. Still a chance for him to get back into the points, but he won't be anywhere near where he was earlier when he was leading. Time. Dorian Pan comes in now. Ryan Danes for what should be her last stop of the race. They look at McLaughlin and O'Ward, who was able to sneak on through into P7. Decides to head for the pit lane. He still had 6 laps on his fuel gauge left. He's got to play the long game here and think about track position. So he comes in from the lead, which hands the leadership over to Felix Rosenquist. The name not been too long before Ryu Hirakawa heads on by. The same can be said for Comperto, who goes on through ahead of Scott McLaughlin to P7. And there's Luke Browning comes out. He's in front of Nick de Vries. Now that's important for him. He will not want to be held up in traffic, but I will say that Luke Browning is rejoining 14th position. He's going to filter his way through the pack. If he can get by the likes of Fornaroli, sorry, not Fornaroli, if he can get by Iyuma Iwaza, he'll have some good, clear track for the next half a dozen laps at least. And that's before the second round of pit stops begin, involving the 2 stoppers. There's Hirakawa to the outside of Rosenquist, doing exactly what he did earlier with Joel Eriksson. And it's pretty much becoming his favourite passing place on this circuit for the Japanese. CO2 Gymnastic, who was already pitted in this race, is now up into 3rd position, ahead of Joel Eriksson. Dave Goddard, who's been one of the longest serving managers for any team in the Grand Prix World Series, could this be one of his lucky days? Luke Browning took the team's only victory. The 2 Indianapolis Grand Prix a couple of seasons back. In the lead now, important for his race. His teammate Nick de Vries is stuck behind Iyuma Iwaza. Browning is now ahead of Iwaza. Focus, making the most of the clear track and going after El Bamba. But I can imagine Hirakawa's pace at the last phase of the race. Going to be quite blistering. 5 drivers out of the race so far: Igor Frago, Gabriele Mini, Steph Dusseldorp, Nick Cassidy and Tomoki Nijiri. Everyone all on the same lap as the leader. There's Pato O'Ward trying to do the same as what Hirakawa's done to Eriksson. Now we're through around the outside there. He's going to have a run on him on the pit straight. He can get alongside before the line. He'll have a chance of getting through at turn 1, but cut away from that. And now Award is through on Eriksson. He's up into 4th place. There is Jamie Chadwick, who has Danica Fiat for company. Fiat with the fastest up of the race as we speak. So both of the Opals have suffered issues that have forced them into the pit lane, which might concern Topher Smith somewhat. Fiat cannot find a way through on Chadwick. He might be able to get into turn 2. No, he can't, unfortunately. It's ruining Fiat's race even more now. Losing Christy P2. We see Yiffy passing Scott McLaughlin for 9th place. Sophia McLaughlin has his hands full with Joel Eriksson, who's running out of tyres right now. wants his second pit stop to arrive sooner rather than later, really. Through goes McLaughlin into P6. And it's Roman Grosjean next behind the Opel. And that was Forza going over the grass. That was Antonio Giovinazzi who got away with it there. Way through yet for Grosjean on Ericsson. Off the lead. It's unlikely that Ryan Dames are going to be coming away with any points. He came into the swamp 9th in the standings after a decent start to the season, but the last couple of rounds they haven't scored. Came so close to a podium in the first round as well at Road America. Is Ryo Hirakawa on his way to becoming the first repeat winner of the Grand Prix World Series this season, and the first driver to win back-to-back races as well. The last driver to take back-to-back wins was Kevin Magnussen last season. Laps to go. It's the Japanese driver still leading. De Vries is set down in 14th position. And Luke Brown is now behind Scott McLaughlin. He will not want to be stopped behind him for too long. Colton Herta goes through on Antonio Giovinazzi, who had been passed by Pato Ward not too long ago. Far away from the second round of stops. And that's an engine expiring for Colton Herta. Spiker's reliability woes don't seem to be going away anytime soon. It's great news for Toyota in their battle against them for the Lead 2 Teams Championship, but Ben Hackerson has left himself with more work to do, and the engine has gone up in flames now, and Colton Herta will want to be pulling that car off the circuit. Out goes Colton Herta, who got by Antonio Giovinazzi a couple of corners before. Now Luke Brown ends up into 10th place. He's got by Earl Bamber. Right aboard with the Kiwi. He's now got Nick de Vries on his tail. Pit straight. Nick de Vries should be alongside here to make a pass, and he is through on the Chip Ganassi. Yuma Wasa comes in for his last stop. 10 seconds is the margin between Hirakawa and Rosenqvist. That's how quick the Toyota has been today. Sean Lacey through on the Sax speed. Also rejoins Rosenquist. Second place before he decides he needs new tyres and fuel. It's been a very positive race for 40. Giovinazzi is about to be passed in by Grosjean. He holds on for now. Rosenquist get out before Kafia? I don't think he can this time. Rosenquist will rejoin outside the top 15. Might be joining 15th position actually, so he's got some clear track to use up to help get back towards fighting for a podium. Browning has gone through on Joseph Newgarden into 8th place. It's Yuffie who is next to chase. Joel Eriksson, sorry. Joel Eriksson is the next car he's fighting with, and there is Grosjean now through on Giovinazzi. And Browning, I expect, will do the same with Eriksson. He has got through on Eriksson in the last turn. Giovinazzi comes in for his last stop for 40. Scott McLaughlin in for Master. And that's Browning through on Yuffie for 5th place. Seconds to make up on Theo McLaughlin, his teammate, who shouldn't really put up too much of a fight. There's O'Ward in 2nd place, Grosjean 3rd, Theo McLaughlin 4th, Luke Browning 5th. In 2nd place. The car ahead of him is actually one of the Zach speeds. Philip Salaquada. Rio Hirakawa in for his last stop. So it's important for Luke Browning to make his way through. There is Nick de Vries going through as well on Joseph Newgarden. Will go ahead for now, but he's due in the pits again before this race is over. There's Rosenquist through on the M Sport of Leo Fornaroli. Hirakawa will get out ahead of Rosenquist. It's Pato O'Ward that's in the lead for the time being. Goes into 3rd place. He's got some clear track ahead of him. Hirakawa has rejoined in 8th behind Bamber. There's Iwaza on Pan for 16th position. Is he staying out as well? He is staying out. As we see Bamber holding up Rio Hirakawa. Not making it easy by any means as de Vries comes in for his last stop, as does the Kiwi. So that releases Rio Hirakawa. 4 seconds the gap between Grosjean in the lead and Browning in 2nd place. Browning is getting down the gap. Behind Newgarden P13. 19 laps to go in this race, and there's your race leader Roman Grosjean, who's due in the pit lane before this race is over. Luke Browning has made his only stop. He doesn't need to come in again. We'll see Grosjean coming out of the last corner. Are we going to see him in the pit lane at the end of this lap? Answer that question is yes. So Browning is now in the lead on track. He has that penalty hanging over him, remember. Bamber goes through on pan for 16th place. Feet also in for Prema. Joel Eriksson is in for his final stop for Opel. So the order is this: Browning, Hirakawa, Rosenqvist, O'Ward. It should be Fear McLaughlin into 6th place. And it's Grosjean 7th. We've got a race on our hands now, most certainly. I'd probably say though, with the pace that Hirakawa has, he's 6 seconds off Browning, and he's coming at him so fast now. Browning's not going to stand a chance against Hirakawa, unfortunately. See what the gap is when you head over the line. Browning goes over the line. Hirakawa goes over the line. It's 4.1 seconds at the beginning of the lap. Grosjean 7th, Luke on 8th. Malaysia up to 9th for M Sport. Doesn't need to freeze. Sign the points in 10th. The move was done before they even get to the corner. It's not lost yet for De Vries. There's Browning making a lock up. Browning was to be passed by Hirakawa. Can he hold on to 2nd place? We'll see what the gap is. Remember, it was 4.1. Hirakawa's been taking around 2.3 out of his margin in the first 2 sectors. The gap now is 9/10. So it's a total of 3.2 seconds taken out of Browning's margin on the last lap alone by Ryo Hirakawa. That's astonishingly quick. Look at Bamber stuck behind Scott McLaughlin coming out of the last turn. There's Malaysia about to be overtaken here by Yearfeet into turn 1, and there goes the Prema into P11. And Hirakawa's passed Browning. Hirakawa has passed Luke Browning for the lead. I think we're going to see a replay of the overtake. Hirakawa is finally through. Maybe we won't see the overtake, but either way, Hirakawa is now into the lead ahead of Luke Browning. Should there be no more twists, the Japanese is on his way to becoming the first repeat winner this season. Bamber goes through again on Sean Malaysia. Look at the team with 15 laps remaining. Browning is on the 1 stop. Rosenqvist, O'Ward and Giovinazzi are on the 2. That's Scott McLaughlin through on Malaysia for 13th position. Fiat is on his way past the promoter of Yuma Iwasa for 15th place. problems there. If Simsek was to come away with a second place finish, it would be their 4th podium this season. See them go ahead of Bemota. Maybe Prema if they're lucky. Ram have got Pato Ward up there in 4th place. Ward, who won a couple of rounds ago in Sebring, might make it to the podium again for the 3rd race in a row. Retirement is his 3rd in a row. 6 drivers out of the race already. In the points in every race so far this season. He's running in P11. He is one of those on the 2 stops. I think he'll be in the points again before this race is over. And Rosenquist is 4.5 seconds. Fiat just about making the corner there. Coming towards just past the kink of a 50 on. He makes his way around the infield section of the course as well. It's the right-hander of Champi Herreros. Luke Browning. 4.1 clear of Rosenquist. Rochon has passed Fiat McLaughlin from P6. So the Frenchman is on his way through to rescue something from this race for Spiker. Now down to less than 3.6 in the fight between Browning and Rosenquist. 13 laps remaining. It's 2.4 in sector 2. And there's an electrical problem for the race leader. Hirakawa is having to come in. More woes for Michael Espy. And it's the race lead again for Luke Browning. Rosenquist will go through into 2nd place and Pato Ward up to 3rd. Hirakawa will rejoin behind his teammate. He'll still be in the points, I believe. That's a body blow for the championship leader. There's Ericsson locking up at turn 2. Hirakawa's got, we've got all to do, he's got 12 laps basically to try and get a podium finish if he can help it. He's got the pace to do it, but time isn't on his side. Rosenquist is just under 1.8 off the lead. Now Browning has that penalty, remember. As it stands, he'll drop out of the points. So if I was James Knox, it's worth appealing. Now you can see the gap down to 8 tenths. Is Dave Goddard going to celebrate a 2nd victory as a Grand Prix World Series team manager? It was Luke Browning, of all people, that took the 1st at Indianapolis 2 seasons ago. Is it going to be Felix Rosenquist getting the team 2nd? There we see Ryo Hirakawa on the tail of Joseph Newgarden in the battle for 9th place. He's 18 seconds off the lead as well is Hirakawa. You think, well, he should be able to do it. He took 3.2 seconds out of Browning's margin in one lap alone. Rosenqvist has passed Browning. Felix Rosenqvist is past Luke Browning for the lead. And the 40 is finally through. So another change of lead here in Ricardo Tormo. And Hirakawa has passed Newgarden for 9th place. Felix Rosenqvist leads the lead to Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix on lap 47. I think Pato Ward is going to make his way past Luke Browning for 2nd place as well on the pit straight. He's through. The Ram is passed. Browning's chances of a podium are slipping away. Now, are we going to see a fight for the win between Rosenqvist and O'Ward? Two drivers who have tasted success in the past, both of which were Arrows drivers. Rosenqvist has taken victory on 4 occasions in his Grand Prix World Series career. Victory here would put him joint 7th with Callum Ilott and Nick de Vries. Hirakawa is chasing Ericsson for 8th position. We should have a look at that battle because they're actually closing on the leaders as well, whilst we've been discussing all of this. Because Hirakawa to the outside of Ericsson, no way through that. 9 laps remaining. Hirakawa is just determined to salvage something positive from this. He goes through on Ericsson with the straight line speed and grip advantage. Now, of all drivers he's chasing now is Nick de Vries. As it stands with the positions as they are, it is Pato O'Ward who will move into the lead. And we've got another change of a lead. O'Ward on the outside of Rosenqvist is through! In a space of a few laps, we've had a 3rd change of leader, and it's Pato O'Ward who could be on his way to his 2nd win in a space of 3 races. This has been an incredible lead to Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. The Ram is passed. And Browning is under threat here from Roman Grosjean. On the pit straight they come. Is Grosjean close enough? He's pulling out alongside here. On the inside goes the Spiker, and he's through as well. So Grosjean up to 3rd position ahead of the Simtek. Next driver behind the Brit is Antonio Giovinazzi. Hirakawa has passed de Vries for 7th place. Hirakawa is now 1.3 off Fiat McLaughlin. There's Giovinazzi up the inside of Browning now. He's also through. So we've got 2 40s in the top 4. This is far from over. O'Ward is 1.8 clear over Rosenqvist, and now we see Hirakawa who's stuck behind Phil McLaughlin on this side. He's got to get past him on this pit straight. He's got to do it now. McLaughlin is overtaken by the fast charging Toyota. Now it's Luke Browning who is next. 7 laps remaining. Could Hirakawa complete the comeback? which would be one of the greatest we've seen in the Grand Prix World Series. In over 150 races, this would be one of the best we've ever seen in this championship. There goes De Vries up the inside of Browning, into the hairpin, and it's 5th position. And you know what? There is time. There is time for him to rescue it. And Elbama goes through on his teammate Joseph Newgarden for P11. Hirakawa is around about 7 seconds off the lead. As we look at Grosjean and Rosenquist, who are in their own battle for 2nd place. Fornarelli at the back there, just getting through on one of the promoters, which will be a Yuma Waza. And Grosjean has passed Rosenquist. Grosjean overtakes Felix Rosenquist, is up into 2nd position. And Hirakawa has passed Giovinazzi for 4th. Hirakawa is absolutely flying right now. He'll be getting the gap down all the time, that's for certain. De Vries also gets by Luke Browning, who at this rate is going to end up tumbling down out of the points. He may even fall out of the points on the road, never mind with the penalty. There we look at Hirakawa. He's very close to Rosenquist. He goes one way. Rosenquist defends. Now Hirakawa is within range to attack. 5 laps to go for Pato Award. There we see Hirakawa going through on the 40. Hirakawa is back up into the podium positions with 5 laps to go here in Valencia. Joel Eriksson has sent Luke Browning further down the order now. That's Browning down to 9th place. He's ahead of Yiefi. I don't think he'll be too far away from sending him down to P10. Hirakawa is tantalisingly close to Romain Grosjean. He's 1.6 clear in sector 1, but that gap's going to come down to virtually nothing by the time he gets to sector 2. He's now around about half a second. Where is Ryo Hirakawa? Is he going for it into the last corner? He's not ahead of him yet. Grosjean's going to be fighting for his life here as McLaughlin's now under attack here from the other Toyota of Nick De Vries. But we look at Hirakawa sailing by Romain Grosjean for 2nd place. He's 4 laps away from a potential win here. On lap 54, just 4 to go. It's been an element of strategy. When we all thought it was done and dusted from the moment Hirakawa came in with that electrical issue, he thought otherwise. Grosjean down to 3rd place. Rosenquist is still ahead of Giovinazzi as we speak. I think De Vries should be able to send it here on Theo McLaughlin into the hairpin. De Vries is still stuck behind McLaughlin, as is Eriksson and Browning. And there he is, Hirakawa, half a second off Pato Award for the lead here. On the inside goes Ryo Hirakawa, and he's done it! Through into the lead of the lead to Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix on lap 54. What a comeback drive, and he has done it with time to spare. Wow, 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 wow. Ryo Hirakawa, to the pleasure of Mike Gillespie, he's on his way to back-to-back victories here in Spain. Pato O'Ward just didn't have the grip to hold him off. As we see Ericsson go through on Theo McLaughlin for P7. De Vries got by a little bit sooner. They're not far away from Antonio Giovinazzi, so there's still time for change. With the way this race has been panning out, it's been superb. Not long left in this one. Hirakawa. He's not far away from seeing victory, and out goes Iguma Iwaza in the closing stages. And it's going to be no points for Lucy Bastondale's team after what's been another round to forget. Just 2 laps to go for Rio Hirakawa. As we see Browning go through on Theo McLaughlin. Now, is McLaughlin running into an issue? Because he's not as grippy as what Browning's are. He's coming back at him here. McLaughlin feels there's a point to him. He goes back ahead of Browning. But all this is costing the team time. There's Roman Grosjean in P3. Still on course for a podium for Spiker as De Vries runs wide a little. Trying to keep Joel Eriksson back. Grosjean is 1.5 seconds off Pato O'Ward. I think he's going to run out of time to do anything about him. We see O'Ward and Grosjean. Final up of the race for Rio Hirakawa. He's completed the comeback of all comebacks. He was down to 10th place after having to make that extra stop. But with the grippy tyres and the genuine pace that Toyota has had today, he's made it work. And there's Browning coming back at Theo McLaughlin again for 8th position. Not only is Hirakawa going to take victory, he's going to keep himself in the championship lead. So Ward will go up into 2nd place with his runner-up spot here. And Nick De Vries will go up into 3rd place with his stunning drive. But there is Hirakawa, who's got the crowd on their feet today. Put off an astonishing performance here in Spain, and he's about to become the first back-to-back winner this season, the first repeat winner of Season 6 in the Grand Prix World Series. Rio Hirakawa crosses over the line to win the Lead 2 Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. He stays in the championship lead. With that result, on Toyota bag a 1st and a 6th, strengthening their grip in the race for promotion and in the team's championship. Pato O'Ward comes in 2nd place. He goes up to 2nd in the standings. Roman Grosjean completes the podium for Spiker in 3rd, with the 240s of Antonio Giovinazzi, of Felix Rosenqvist and Antonio Giovinazzi in 4th and 5th. Nick De Vries in 6th place, having pitted 3 times. With Joel Eriksson, Luke Browning, Theo McLaughlin and Yiafi completing the point scorers. And then we've got the likes of El Bamba, Danica Fiat, who's got the point for the fast up of the race. Jason Newgarden, Scott McLaughlin, Leo Fornaroli, Jamie Chadwick, and we've got Sean Malasey, Philip Salaquada, and Dorian Pan. For the rest of those to cross over the line. What a race we've been treated to today. We've still got the League 1 event to come in a few minutes' time. It's a win for Rio Hirakawa, the first repeat winner this season. But that's far from the whole story. He's the winner of the Lead 2 Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. Pato O'Ward 2nd, Roman Grosjean in 3rd place, followed by Felix Rosenqvist and Antonio Giovinazzi, 240s inside the top 5. Nick de Vries 6th, Joel Eriksson 7th, and it's Theo McLaughlin. Yiffy leaping up to 9th position, and Earl Bamber taking the final point for Chip Ganassi with that. Outside the points, we've got Danny Kvyat and Joseph Newgarden. Scott McLaughlin in 13th place ahead of Leo Fornarelli. Jamie Chadwick in 15th, and it's Luke Browning, who's dropped to 16th with that 30-second time penalty. That is subject to appeal. Sean Malacy 17th, followed by Philip Salaquada and Dorian Panner, who were the last of those to finish. Ayumu Wazu retired with a few laps to go, but was still classified as a finisher. Those that did not finish: Colton Herter, Igor Fraga, Gabriel Imini, Steph Dusseldorp, Nick Cassidy, and Tomoki Najiri, who were lost on the opening lap of the race after colliding with Luke Browning at turn 1. The pole position point going to Nick de Vries, and the fast lap point heading in the way of Danny Kvyat. One of the best races we have been treated to in the Grand Prix World Series, and I'm sure there'll be more to come like this in the foreseeable future. Ryo Hirakawa's win has moved him further clear with that 25 points. He now moves on to 84, and with Pato Ward moving up into second position, he's now on 70. So Hirakawa has a 14-point lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship. As far as the teams is concerned, Toyota's fortune has seen them pull further clear of the likes of Spiker and Ram. They are looking ever so strong for a place in League 1 next season. It's time to run down on the League 2 drivers and teams championships in League 2 in the voice of Topher Smith. We'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
So a second win in a row for Ryo Hirakawa. A massive congratulations to him. Only one driver has ever won 3 races in a row in the Grand Prix World Series. That was Antonio Felix da Costa back when he was with Minardi. And Ryo Hirakawa has a chance to do the same thing at the next round in Marrakesh. A track that should favour the Toyota team actually, given their high power nature. So we will see whether Hirakawa can complete the hat-trick at the next round. But what has this done to the drivers and team standings? Let's take a look now. Hirakawa maintains his lead in the Drivers' Championship, 84 points for the Japanese, ahead of Pato Ward, who moves up into second on 70 points. Nick de Vries third on 58, ahead of Ye on 57. Colton Herter on 55, ahead of his Spiker teammate on 46. Felix Rosenquist 7th on 44, ahead of Gabriele Mini. Luke Browning and Daniel Kvyat moving up into 10th place on 29 points. And in the team, Toyota starting to build up a bit of a gap now, 142 points for the team, ahead of Spiker on 101, Ram Racing on 99, Prema on 70, Bermoto KRT on 57, 40 Corsa and Simtek both on 55 points each, ahead of Opel on 49, Eindames on 27, Mazda on 23, and then Chip Ganassi, Zach Speed and M Sports still in those bottom 3 positions, but still with plenty of rounds left to go. That could all change as we look towards the second half of the season. And so League 2 is done for today, so let's move on to League 1 and remind ourselves of what the drivers' standings look like. Shane van Gisbergen leading the way on 61 points, 4 ahead of Yuki Tsunoda on 57. Hansen Guven not yet won a race this season, but is third on 50 points through pure consistency. Raffaele Marcello 4th on 48, ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, also on 48. Jimmy Whincup 6th on 43, ahead of Alex Palou on 39. Scott Dixon on 34, Marcus Ericsson on 30, and Carl Kirkwood rounding up the top 10 on 26. And in the teams, Fomital 4 points ahead of Ducati, 87 points plays 83. Minardi on 69, ahead of HRT and Force India, both on 65 points each. Lancia 6th on 54, 2 ahead of Arrows on 52. Cooper Kiro 49, Prost 41, Onyx on 36. And then a bit of a gap back to BAR, Carlin and Jaguar, all in the relegation zone as it stands. But plenty of rounds left to go. They could still drag themselves out of those bottom 3 positions. Only one driver change for today's League 2 race, and that is at the Fonmetal team, where Felipe Nasr has returned to a race seat in place of Marcus Ericsson. Ewan Gale, team manager, electing to give Nasr a go in the car to see how he performs before they make a final decision on who will complete the rest of the season alongside Yuki Tsunoda. And so with that, let's move on to the qualifying results and check out the grid for League 1. And just the same as in League 2, we have a front row lockout for League 1. HRT on home turf goes first and second, with the local favourite Alex Palou on pole position ahead of Carl Kirkwood. Will Power third in the Minardi ahead of Scott Dixon in the Arrows. 2 Grand Prix World Series champions starting together on row 2. Kamui Kobayashi 5th in the Minardi ahead of Hansen Guven in the Lancia. Philip Hansen and Kevin Estra put Onyx onto the 4th row of the grid, their best collective qualifying effort of the season so far. Oliver Rowland 9th in the Cooper Kiro ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen, our championship leader in the Ducati. 11th goes to Alessio Rivera ahead of Jamie Whincup. Brendan Harley and Felipe Nasr 14th for his return here today. Raffaele Marcello 15th ahead of Nick Tandy. Robin Frines, Yuki Tsunoda and Tony Felix da Costa and John-Eric Verne, the 2 Prosts rounding out the top 20. And at the back, Sebastian Buemi, Mitch Evans, Stoffel Van Dorn, Kevin Magnussen, and then Max Gunther and Thierry Pourchaire both picked up 10th-place grid penalties last time out, but they both qualified on the back row anyway, so no change to the grid. They will both have to progress forward if they want to score some points. Well, League 2 gave us an absolute thriller of a race, and we're hoping for more of the same in League 1. So let's get straight to the action and hand back to Tom Cairns, who is ready to get this one underway. So Tom, back to you.
Here we are in Ricardo Tormo Valencia once more with the 2 HRTs looking out the front row, but can they convert that into victory here? Will Power and Scott Dixon are behind, hoping to improve their form. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go in Ricardo Tormo. It's a good getaway from the 2 HRTs from first and second. We're looking at Will Power, I think, was sending it to the outside of Kirkwood. He's ahead of him, actually. So, brilliant start from Will Power up to second place. Kirkwood down to 4th position because Scott Dixon has got by the second corner. So, Kirkwood's hard work is going to be increased to get back anywhere towards where Pillow is. And there's contact there involving Max Gunther at turn 2. That might have been with the BAR of Thierry Pourchaire, but at least the pair of them have kept going. So Pillow leads the race, and it's Will Power second. It's Scott Dixon, Kyle Kerwin, Ayam Chinguven in 5th place. And it's Philip Hansen 6th, Kamui Kobayashi 7th. Felipe Nasr, who is in for Marcus Ericsson for this race, is in 8th position. It's Oliver Rowland and Nick Tandy inside the top 10. 57 laps on this 4-kilometre racetrack. We'll come to the setups in a moment as Tandy sends it up the inside of Oliver Rowland into the last corner, and that is the Brit through on his fellow countryman. So we'll look at the setups now. Ducati and Onyx have both gone for neutral. So Arrow's mid-downforce. From Mattel have gone for maximum top speed. HRT mid-downforce. Minardi, BAR, Force India, Prost and Carlin have all gone for neutral. Kiro mid-downforce, Jaguar maximum downforce, or mid-top speed rather, and mid-downforce for Lancia. As far as this one is concerned. It's Below who leads 1.4 clear over Will Power already. It's Dixon in 3rd, Kyle Kirkwood doing his best to keep up in 4th. Hansen has made a strong start to this one, is already up into 5th place. And off goes Power at the last turn. Power is off at the last turn, and the front wing is broken on the Minardi. A little too deep there, and the front wing's broken, and Power's race has taken a ginormous dive. And not in a good way. He's back on the circuit in last position. I think someone's slowing up ahead. Can't see who that is, but we'll come to it in a moment. Power is in. Look at Dixon, who's now in 2nd place. You see at the back, that's Van Dorn and Mitch Evans. Ahead of him are Tony Felix da Costa, who's in 20th place, Sebastian Buemi in 19th, and Jean-Luc Verne in 18th. In 7th, just ahead of Nick Tandy, Oliver Rowland 9th, and Kevin Estra He's now up into the points at the expense of Power's mishap. At the championship standings from Mattel, just 4 points clear after no points were scored by them in Dijon Burgoyne last time out. 1. Shane van Gisbergen closing in. Gisbergen's outside the points right now as Hansen goes past Kamui Kobayashi for 4th position. Alex's races continue to go from strength to strength as we see Van Gisbergen go through on Hartley for P11. 22 points separating the top 5 in the teams championship. The top 5, I should say. It's very close, and as far as Van Gisbergen is concerned, he's 4 points clear over his nearest rival, Yuki Tsunoda. So Henshin Guven, who is on a run of 5 consecutive points finishes in 3rd place in the standings on 50 points, and it's Refugio Marcello. Kamui Kobayashi still chasing that first win since Taupo with arrows in season 2. Look at the back, you'll see that's Kevin Magnussen. It feels like a long time since he lost on a race, fighting towards the front, and that was last season. Here's Rivera through on Hartley for P12. Another man also on the move. No retirements in the race so far. Will Power is at the back in 26th place. He needed to come in for a new front wing at the end of the 2nd lap. Squad going forward. John Verne is coming for an early pit stop for the Prost team. He's already failed to finish 5 times this season. His form isn't getting any better at this moment in time. Dixon in 2nd place, just ahead of Kirkwood. He's also on a run of 5 non-finishes in 6. The only time Kirkwood has finished the race was where he won at Trilla dos Funes. And the same applies with Sean O'Fern. Dixon at this moment in time. We'll look further back to find Hansen and Kobayashi in 4th and 5th, who are in their own tussle. Guven, Nasser, Tandy, Roland and Estra. To go yet in the season. We head to Marrakesh for the next round. Hansen will know too well about how to win there. And the same applies with Nick Tandy when he won for Cooper Kiro last season. Seconds is the gap between Blow in the lead and Dixon in second. Max Blow is yet to win this season. Close. A few times already, particularly at Road America. He was in the lead also in Dijon-le-Grand before he encountered problems that forced him into the pits. Position, being chased by Théo Pourchaire. That's gone to his teammate. We've got Kevin Magnussen trying to rejoin ahead. Slightly better tyres what Power is on. His tyres will be 3 laps younger than the Australians. But they are a long way off the rest of the field. As we saw in the lead 2 race, there's a long way to go. A lot can still change. Gisbergen is on attack from Alessio Rivera. They'll come out at the last turn. Valencia. And the relegation battle as well as seen at the top. VAR, Carlin and Jaguar occupy those places and they're a long way off. Onyx are going about their business in 10th place as well. More insult as those in the bottom 3. Hansen and Estra are inside the points, so they could basically leap across and move up into 9th position. And out goes Marciello in the Force India. He is the first retirement of the race, and it's an engine failure. See Van Dorn in 18th, just ahead. Evans and Pourchaire. And that is Buemi, who's got front wing damage as well. So he's been over the curb somewhere or over the grass too heavily. The field are trying to go round him there. It's a rather tight line there than might have been there. Sebastian Buemi. And he comes in for a new nose section. That's Dixon, P2, ahead of Kirkwood. Kobayashi 4th, Hansen 5th. Still no change at the moment in the top 10. It's more towards the back of the field where we are seeing the changes. Roland running in P9 for Cooper Kiro. There's 9 running away with Winkup in 13th. There's a chance for Cooper Kiro to still come away with some points. As we see Van Gisbergen, the championship leader, attempting to go through on Estra into turn 1, but to no avail, no way past there. 11 of the race, we are up close to the first round of pit stops. There's going to be no points for Stoffel Van Dorn here in Spain. He's pulled off the circuit with what looks like a gearbox failure. And that is the Belgian retiring. Carlin have had a season to forget so far. Just 3 points on the boards all season. All of which have been collected by Stoffel Van Dorn. race. Just completed lap 11 now. The only John we've had involved in the front of the field is when Will Powell went off the circuit the last turn on lap 2. So he's been at the back since. Himself, Shane van Gisbergen. Through the hairpin. So far. Cars on the circuit. Boemi's coming again for VAR. This has not been a good race for Boemi once more. He's had a terrible season since he's moved from the Cross team. See Boemi's come out of the pit lane and Roland's taking advantage of Tandy's counter by having to slam on the brakes to avoid running into Boemi as the Swiss came out of the pit lane. So Roland through into 8th position. As far as this race is concerned, neither of the top two have any points. Roland's trying to unlap himself from Roland, which he does now. This will cost Roland time. Boemi will just want to get on the job and try and unlap himself from Nasser, who is next. Side of Tandy, right into the left-hander, sorry. He's now up into 9th place, so Tandy down 2 positions on this lap. 6 due effect, he's coming back at the Frenchman. Tandy comes back, so it's a great battle brewing there between those two. I think that's Boemi unlapping himself from Nasser, so he's not hanging around there. Rivera goes through on wing cut for 12th place. Below. One victory in this championship, that was at Buenos Aires a couple of years ago for Ram. Looking up. I think that was Guven being passed by Nasser and Roland. Is Guven in trouble with some form of technical issue? Tandy's got by him now. Yeah, I think Guven's in trouble. Van Gisbergen's now through on ahead of him. And Estra has lost time on this lap. The field having to duck out of the way, and you can see that Astra's lost so much time being stuck behind. Guven is having to come into the pit lane, and there is Yuki Tsunoda, who's made the most of it, is now going to P11. So Astra, who was running in the points, is now down to 14. Once more, around about 5 seconds ahead in the lead. see if he gets away with it. He's up into the points now in 9th. He's behind his teammate Nick Tandy, who will not want to hold him up. By the end of this, that includes Alex Play, who's 22 points off the lead into this. It's Bohemian on lapping himself from Philip Hansen. Bohemian's enjoying himself out there on lapping his guys, but just getting frustrated deep inside. Maybe a bit of both. Vern is closing in on Magnussen, who hasn't pitted. This one Vern has done some form of issue. Cars have been held up. Earlier. Dixon still second, doing a great job in this race so far, ahead of Kirkwood. There we see some pit lane activity. Whincup and Fryington both come in. Astra's lost even more time being stuck behind them. Worse for Astra. Kobayashi is now unlocked by Buemi. Second and third place drivers of Dixon and Kirkwood. Lowe decides to pit in this lap. He's in, is Palou. So that hands the lead over to Scott Dixon. Kirkwood will go up into P2. Kamui Kobayashi will go up into third place. So that's one less car for Sebastian Buemi to unlap himself from. The top two pitting in. It's probably on this lap. Saving time and having to pass the circuit. His teammate Teo Borchere. Some time. So far. They are performing. They're in danger of going out of League 1 onto 6 seasons in the top 5. Pace of the HRT on the new tyres is just second to none. Kobayashi comes in from third place at the end of lap 18. Kirkwood, I think, is about to be unlapped here by Sebastian Buemi. Oh, that's contact between Palou and Astra at the last corner. And that's cost Palou dear there. There's a lock-up from Astra. All the stewards perceive it as though Astra was at fault for it. I don't know. Yeah, he nudged him onto the grass and Palou's from him got broke. By going over the curve, he's having to come in for repairs as well. This has ruined Alex Palou's race. His luck doesn't seem to be changing. The consequence for Astra is a 30-second time penalty, a 5-place grid drop for the next round in Marrakesh, and 4 penalty points on his licence. And Vern gets in for the second time in this race. He had to come in for some form of repair job with electrical issues he had earlier. So it's now Scott Dixon, who's effectively the race leader. Kyle Kirkwood in second. Sebastian Buemi is trying to lap himself from the leader. Now what is Scott Dixon deciding to do? He's gone in, so he's in. Which will hand the lead over to Kyle Kirkwood. Be effectively carrying HRT's hopes, going for the win here in Ricardo Tormo. Hansen goes up into second place. And Felipe Nasser will be up into third. Oliver Rowland now fourth. Frank Gisbergen comes in for Ducati, which will allow Yuki Tsunoda to leap up into fifth. Dixon rejoin, I wonder. He joins in P7 behind his teammate. Maskinson comes in for Jaguar. Astra now in for Onyx, as is Porsche for BAR. 7 seconds is the margin between Kirkwood and the lead, and Hansen second. Stopped yet in this race, unlike Dixon. He's gone in for a record breaking 10th Grand Prix World Series win. He's got the record for the most poles, he's got the record for the most fastest laps, he's got the record for the most wins, he's got the record for the most points, and he's got the record for the most titles by one driver. And Van Gisbergen, the championship leader, is coming to a slowdown. He'd only just pitted as well. It's the first non-classified retirement of the season for the championship leader. It's a terrible shame, but it's game over for the Kiwi. And Hansen, Tsunoda and Rowland have all come in. So that hands the lead over to Felipe Nasser of all drivers. He's only just come in to substitute for Marcus Ericsson. This race for the Formatel team. He's doing a super job. There's a move from Kobayashi on Brendan Hartley, as is Guven on Evans. So that's the Jaguar down the order. The next player is down in 15th place. Still a chance for it to finish in the points. His chances of the win are very, very slim. Kobayashi is now ahead of Kirkwood. Kobayashi, who pitted in laps before Kirkwood did, has put himself in the fray for the race win later. And that's good news for Minardi at least. Mitch Evans comes in for Jaguar. Tanner goes in front of Antonio Felix da Costa. He's chasing for more points for Prost. He's now down to the bottom end of the points. Dixon, just over 6 seconds off the lead, is chasing Nasser as he's rolling in 13th. Chased by Alex Palou, who was the race leader earlier, and now he's in a fight to just get back into the points for now, at least. He comes in for a third time. VAR. Hanson's got through on Da Costa. Nasser stays out another lap. Could well be doing the one stop here. Brazilian. Rowland, who's sat behind Rivera and Da Costa. Through goes Rowland. inside goes the Cupra Hero on the Prost. Just rolling through Da Costa for P11. Kobayashi's got Sebastian Buemi in front of him. So he just hits it. Kobayashi let Buemi go. So he's on Riviera tyres. It's the Minardi. Dixon is now just 3/10 off Nasser. There he is though. He's looking for a way through. Go through. Goes through on Da Costa. So it's been able to bend off. Scott Dixon. Lap has pulled away with the extra straight line speed. Downforce, and that's Hartley into the pit lane with electrical shoes. He's due into the pits anyway. That won't have done Hartley any favours by losing time en route. There goes Tsunoda on the Onyx of Kevin Estre. He's now through on Da Costa, so he's absolutely fine. The grip he's got in his tyres there, Yuki Tsunoda. Kirkwood in third position. Dixon's still behind. And as we speak. Looking at the pace as well, especially Buemi's close. Now Kirkwood just notices that Kirkwood's ahead of Kobayashi, so Kirkwood back in play for the win. Straight passes Da Costa for 14th rather. Hairpin infield. And it looks like the Buemi has got through on Dixon to unlap himself, so it's just Nasser actually trying to unlap. And that's Tsunoda, pull it to the side. It looks like he's collided with someone. I didn't quite see, it looks like a loose wheel. It was Kevin Estre, I think, that ran into him. The loose wheel was already going. He just misread which way. Well, he misread which way Estre was going to go there. Estre's got a broken front wing as a consequence, so if he wasn't to have any damage, he probably wouldn't have got. Anyway, Estre, but that dent to his front wing has hurt his chances of points again. Tsunoda retires, and he goes no further, so that's one of the Fonmatels gone. Both of the top two in the championship are out of the race. So there's a chance that Hyunjin Gufen could go into the lead if he finishes in the top 4. This one. So Buemi's just been lapped again. No further action is taken involving Tsunoda and Estre. See, Nasser is holding up the field. To use the straight line speed to his advantage. The top 4. Oh, that's Kobayashi running wide. And that's allowed Buemi to from him. And now Kirkwood is going for it on Dixon. And he's back into second place. That Nasser's been able to hold up the leaders with the maximum top speed setup that team manager Ewan Gale has gone with. And all of this could help Alex Palou later to catch up to these. Great news for Fonmatel, but it's frustrating for the rest of the field because they want Nasser to move out of the way, but he doesn't have to move out of the way. They are fighting for position. This is going to help Hyunjin Gufen as well because he's also closing in on the top 4. Oh, and that's Dixon going through on Kirkwood, and Kirkwood's off at the last corner, and Kirkwood's race has taken a turn for the worse, and it gets worse also for HRT. I think Dixon was already alongside. Did Dixon leave enough room there to want the space? I'm not too sure. But Kirkwood got held up behind Nazar. I think it's a racing incident. Dixon was already ahead. I think Kirkwood turns in on him. Kirkwood drops to 5th place, and Kobayashi's got through on Dixon now. No further action was taken on that incident involving Dixon and Kirkwood, where he unlaps himself from Dixon. Holding up the field, there's a long queue of cars around this course. Nazar is on the 1 stop, remember. Is Kobayashi going to go for it into the last turn? There he is, though. And Nazar's resistance is finally broken on lap 27. And Kobayashi is now through into the lead. And Nazar decides the time is right for him to come in. Guven is also in for his only stop. He's driven a beautiful race so far in this, so he's got himself in play for the win later. Now, Nazar will get out in front of Max Gunter, I believe, because he was a long way off Alex below, as we see Will Power find his way back through the field here. As more cars make their way into the pit lane. Oh, that's Juven coming out into the path of that group. DaCosta is having to come in. What should be his only stop of the race as well. Kobayashi is into the lead ahead of Dixon. Kirkwood is now in 3rd, followed by Whincup, who has yet to pit in this race so far. As I know, at least anyway. There's a pass from one of the Jaguars through on the Carlin. That's Mitch Evans on Kevin Magnussen. Nazar, after that stop, is ahead of Gunther. He's got over 15 seconds to make up on Alex below, so he can use all that clear space to his advantage. There's Rivera, who's about to be passed here by Alex below. Nazar has not raced an awful lot in the Grand Prix Series, despite the number of seasons he's actually competed in this series. He's done 29 races. His last appearance came in season 4 for Fomatel. He's picked up 37 points, but he's never finished on a podium or achieved a race win. Go through on Gunther for P12. Pin of this racetrack, and below is up the inside on Frines into turn 1. Frines holds him off for now. Is coming back for more into the doing curve. And There goes Below into 8th position, making a brilliant comeback performance. Looks on the inside also on Magnussen for 16. There's a pass as well for the Frenchman. So it's really still a lap down. Leaders, more drivers out of the race. Yuki Tsunoda, Shane van Gisbergen, Stoffel Don, Raffaele Marciello. Isn't exactly pulling away from Dixon at this moment in time. It's Tony being overtaken by Rowland at the last corner. So if Rowland is through, we've had a race to remember so far. Magnussen holding up Brendan Hartley. Now, Hartley came in with the electrical issues earlier, that's why he's that far down. Felipe Nasser's run about 9 seconds off Alessio Rivera. We'll catch up to him before the second round of pit stops arrive, which could hurt his charge through the field, but we shall see. He copes with that. And Rowland retires in the Cooper Kiro. Engine failure for the Brit. And that's not good news for Ed Hunter, who had hoped for more than that. Rowland's good drive comes to a short end, unfortunately. He is gone. He's gone third. He's now up into 13th place ahead of Guven. Guven goes up the inside of the Jaguar into the last corner. Bumps himself from Boemi, who's got a loose wheel on the right rear, and he is out of the race. It's been a shocking season so far for BAR. And Boemi's retirement is his 5th of the season. Nazar continues to get the gap down on Rivera. Gap now less than 4.2. So within 2 laps, he's going to be on the tail of him. Is in a fight with Fines as we speak. There's Guven through on Evans. There's another Jaguar passed by the Lancia. There's the next driver. Guven's chase. Through on the Carlin. A bit too easy that for those trying to go on through. Dixon behind Kobayashi in the battle for the lead. As well. Made his way back into P7 behind Nick Tandy. There goes Rivera through on Fines at the last corner, and that's Rivera through into P8. That's a good overtake. Fines is going to be under attack from the straight line speed, charging from the tail of Felipe Nasser. That's it. Fines yet. Not at the moment. You should be able to do it at the hairpin, of which Kobayashi and Dixon have just gone by. And that's an engine failure for Kyle Kirkwood. Not again for HRT. Unbelievable luck for John Munro. They haven't had a race where both of the cars have made it to the checkered flag yet this season. And that's not going to change here. Kyle Kirkwood is out for the 6th time this season. Dixon's right on the tail of Kobayashi now as well. Nasa's got through on Frines. Car is on fire now. Do you want to pull it off? Philip Hansen will go up into 3rd position for Onyx. Not a podium yet this season. That could well change here. But Kirkwood is finally going to pull out of here. Also pushes Pillow up the order into 6th place, chasing Nick Tandy. And Kirkwood retires from the League One Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. As is Theron Rivera, so let's dispose of those rather quickly. Go after the leaders, close to coming in for their 2nd and final stops. From Philip Hansen. As the car going through. Just anyway. Up down on the leaders. You see the top two of the most experienced drivers in the Grand Prix World Series going head to head. Rivera and Frines in for the last stops. And Gunther locking up at the last turn. Keeping the car on the track. Oh, that's a car off. Car off at the last turn. It's Fern. It's Fern who has spun into the gravel trap at the last turn. The car is not terminally wrecked. Did he get punted off by someone? Or was that all on his own pieces? It was his own doing. No one had run into him. Fern was lucky that neither of the wheels came off. Otherwise that would have been curtains. It's been another race to forget for Prost. Needs to get that car pointed the right way. He's back on his way. There we see the 2 leaders, Kobayashi and Dixon, moving through on power. He's getting the gap down to 2 seconds on Pillow. Last stop for Kiro. This is now half seconds off. Low is chasing after Tandy. We'll see Hansen in P3. We'll see Nasa in 6. And Tandy ahead. Their own couple. It's not as quick through the corners, but on the straights, that's where the volatile tends to come alive. Now looking at where Felipe Nasser had started the race, he started in 14th. Kobayashi and Dixon are both in for their last stops, as is Philip Hansen. What about Nick Tandy and Alex Blow? Are they coming in? Tandy stayed out, as has Blow, as has Nazar, and Nazar's got through on Blow. So crucially for Nazar, he's now into second place. I don't think it's going to be too long before he's on the tail of Tandy. You see Gunther going through the last corner. He's in P11 right now. Dixon is ahead of Kobayashi in the stops. So that's an important one for Dixon's race in his pursuit for a 10th Grand Prix World Series win. There we see Nazar on the inside of Tandy for the lead, and Nazar's passed him. Felipe Nazar leads the League 1 Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix on lap 38. No more stops are required for him, but he's going to have an almighty task to hold on to it here, considering that Dixon has come out on some freshly new tyres. But that straight line advantage could help Nazar hold on. That's wing cut through on Brendan Hartley as well. And Nick Tandy decides to come in and releases Alex below. And Hansen slows in the Onyx, and he can't get back to the pit lane. Horrible luck for Ryan Ferris. It's game over for Philip Hansen. His teammate Kevin Estre has made it back into the points now. He's up in 8th. Hansen's chances of a podium are gone. Gunther is in the pit lane. Tandy's rejoining P12 ahead of Frines. Now Guven, who's also another of those on one stop, is ahead of Dixon. But he cannot hold Dixon back any longer here. Dixon goes past the Lancia into P3. Now we see Polo 2.4 seconds clear over Dixon. Already now at 2/3 race distance. Kobayashi goes past Guven on the inside. Important move for Kobayashi's race. Blow comes in from second. That releases Dixon and Kobayashi. So Nazar's going to have to use all his skill and experience to hold these two off if he is to win this. Power is in for his final stop. That allows Mitch Evans. Oh no, Mitch Evans is also coming in, as is Kevin Estre. So that puts Whincup back into 5th place. And 6th position will be Alessio Rivera. 7th will be Tandy, 8th Hartley. I'll say that, Francis got past Hartley now for 8th. Hartley now 9th, and Play rejoins in 10th. That could have beaten him off the racetrack. But he keeps it on the island. There's Nazar in the lead. And Whincup slows with an issue. He's got a problem there as Jamie Whincup, because he's just allowed Alessio Rivera to go on by. Is it a loose wheel? Difficult to tell from that angle. There's something doesn't look right on that Cooper Kiro. It's a brake problem. And that has ruined Cooper Kiro's chances of points in this race. Hartley is going to be passed here by Alex Palou. Blow goes through into 8. throughout the whole of this. He's in 17th. Joins in P17 behind Magnussen. And there goes Vern on lapping himself from Felipe Nasr, who's left himself exposed to Dixon. But the good news for Nasr is that he's got that straight line speed advantage. He might use that to his advantage to go back ahead of Vern on the pit straight. He's done just that. Has he? No, he hasn't. He's behind Vern. Might go back ahead of him at the next corner, but Vern is able to hold him off for now. As it goes through, no, he doesn't. And this has allowed Dixon and Kobayashi to come into the fray. Now Nasr just needs to let Vern get on with his own race and let him pull away. I think he's done that now. So Vern can get on with his own race and let these three get on with theirs. Nasr pull away from Dixon here. Just about. That straight line speed is helping him enormously. If you remember back in Jerez last season, where El Bamba was able to hold off Marcus Ericsson for the win, despite being on worn tyres, but had a straight line speed advantage around a course that was not the best for overtaking. Dixon's really close there. Gunther's having to come in again. Jacob's chances of points are diminishing. There's Kobayashi attacking Dixon here. Is he through into second place? He's done it. Kobayashi is ahead of Dixon, but for how long? Nasr through into the lead. Well, Nasr's still in the lead, but Kobayashi's now ahead of Dixon. He's now back in the points. With double his points tally for this race and go on through. Ahead of Hartley. He's done just that. So both the Minados are in the points as we speak. One more than what they are currently on course for. Kobayashi's still stuck behind Nasr. He's able to use the straights to pull away. Close enough to make an attempt here. Took it to the outside. And he ended up on the grass. But Nasr will just pull away on the straight. He's pulled away on the straight. There's Nasr. It's been a superb drive. Can he hold on for a little bit longer? Well, Kobayashi's going for it. And he's done it now. Kobayashi has passed Nasr for the lead. So Kamui Kobayashi is through into the lead of the League One Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. Is he on course for his first win in 4 seasons? Nasr hopes not. He feels the first victory could still be his. But the trouble he's going to have is Dixon's right on his tail. Just yet. Nasr locks up. It's in front of Dixon for now. And there we see your new race leader, Kamui Kobayashi for Minardi. You can see the margins pulling out already since getting by Nasr. We see Gunther fighting. That's Guven to unlap himself. So Guven's unlapped himself in the Lancia. So he thought. He's now back behind Guven. Guven won't have liked that one bit. But Gunther is on fresher tyres compared to the Lancia. Holding up Evans and Estra. Costa is on the one stop. He's going to find it tough to hold on, I think, ahead of Evans, and Evans does go on through the Portuguese. There's Dixon. Still attacking Nasser for second place. Needs to be right on the tail. As they go into the last corner of the racetrack. And Nasser's just using the straight to his advantage. As Dixon goes by at the last turn, Nasser will just come back on the mid straight. Dixon decides to hold back. He's now 6 seconds off the lead. As Estra goes through onto Costa for 12. Aiming to move while it's further away from the drop zone. This is the team that will continue the championship last season they won. Evans heading past Brendan Hartley for P10, and a rare point is on the cards for Jaguar and for Mike Smith. And we see second and third place drivers. That's Gundley, who's a lap down on these two, trying to go in front. There's Rivera looking up. It's just in front of Tandy and Palou. He's chasing after Guven. And Dixon's passed Nasser. Dixon has passed Nasser at the last corner. Unless Nasser's got something to say on that on the pit straight. They're almost side by side, but Dixon's got the job done. It's into second place, so Dixon is no longer stuck behind the Fonmetal. He's through. Stands in the Drivers' Championship. Kobayashi's win will move him into the lead. He needs to remain where he is without any dramas from here on in. Gisbergen will still be in second. Will drop to second place. Guven will leapfrog ahead of Sonoda. Fourth position, fifth rather, will be Scott Dixon. He's up those two, second position for the second time in 3 races. He's getting the gap down on Kobayashi already. Here's the Kiwi. It's 9.8. Beginning of the lap, it's still 9.8 now. I'm just not so sure. Nasser's going to be able to hold on. Ahead of Guven, there's Palou on the inside of Tandy. No way through for the Spaniard on home turf. The home hero is coming back on the inside. He's past him, and Power is having to make his last stop of the race. It's an unexpected one as well, and it looks like his chances of points are completely gone. One Minardi is having his own melodies. One is on his way to his 4th Grand Prix World Series win and the first for 4 seasons. The most experienced driver in the Grand Prix World Series in his 84th race. Doing a stellar job again. That Mitch Evans is also through on Estra for the 9th. That's because Power had to come in for that new, well, whatever the problem was. So it looks like Jaguar could be on course for 2 points instead of 1. And they really need them. They really, really need them. 9 laps to go for Kobayashi. Race leader not too far away. Felipe Nasr, though, is still on course for his first podium in this series, and that's Tandy getting through on Guven. Guven, who's one of those on the one stop, has been passed by Tandy. Palou is already through into 4th place as well. So Palou could still be on for a podium. These Valencia are going to get both of their cars inside the points in League 1. Something we haven't achieved yet this season. So Chris Coffey's going to be a happy man by the end of this. Palou is 1.1 off the lead. As we see Power close in on De Costa for 14th. You see Power just moving in behind there, going one way and then the other. So at the last corner now, Power's going to go through ahead of De Costa on the pit straight. Hardy is through. And a with Nasr, who's got Palou on his tail. Nasr has been a thorn in other drivers' side today. The podium is still very much on the cards as Magnussen gets overtaken by Jean-Luc Verne. That's for 16th place. In second, 9.4 off the lead, has got Gunther for company, who's trying to unlap himself from the arrows. Guven is going to be passed here by Rivera, who's up the inside, and Rivera is through into P6 ahead of Guven. We get the team's championship from Mattel, on course for 15 championship points. 10, Yards on course for 25. HRT got Palou in 4th place, points for pole position faster, on course for 14. However, overtakes Porsche for 13th position. From Mattel will stay in the lead of the team's championship. Force India got Friends in 8th position, dropped behind Valencia. Nasr still holding P3. There's Palou, there's Tandy. Power looking to the outside there of Brendan Hartley. He's not able to do it that time around. Now coming out of the last corner. Power will do what he did to Porsche on the previous lap and go on right the arrows. That is some done pass there for the Australian. Dixon. 9.1 off the lead, so he's not really getting the gap down at the moment. He'll happily take a 2nd place. This will be Minardi's first win of the season with Kobayashi in the lead. The first since Ryo Hirakawa won the League 1 Kailami Grand Prix last season. 5 to go. It's Kobayashi coming up to lap. Kevin Magnussen. Verne is going after Antonio Felix da Costa. So there's a little inter-team battle there as Kevin Estra dives up the inside of Mitch Evans for 9th. This is important in the relegation battle as well. Onyx are above it, Jaguar are in it. 8 drivers out of the race so far. Philip Hansen, Kyle Kirkwood, Oliver Rowland, Sebastian Buemi, Yuki Tsunoda, Shane Venkersbergen, Stoffel van Don, and Raffaele Marciello. There's Dixon. He's still got the Jaguar of Max Gunther on his tail, but that down, right behind him. Kobayashi still on his own at the front. 4 laps to go, it could still change in a big way. There's Nazar in P3, he's got Pelot right behind. Nazar will use the straight line speed to his advantage once more. Mattel's 3rd podium of the season. They are very, very close. And Nazar's close to his 1st podium as well. Is Kobayashi going to put a lap here on Magnussen? Don't want to take too many risks. Maybe look at Evans, who's got Astra on his tail, and Whincup isn't too far behind now. In fact, he's really closing on these two. So at least get a point out of this and push Kubikiro further away from danger. Astra nearly going to ride onto the grass. Remind you as well about Estra's time penalty for the incident with Scott Dixon. That would drop him out of the points, so that would promote Jamie Whincup up into it. So that's not good news for Onyx. As it stands, it will drop Estra down to 16th. See Alex Pelot behind Nazar. Is it close enough to make an attempt of an overtake? Not that time around. Nazar holds on as he has been doing for goodness knows how long now. Kobayashi has now started the penultimate lap. Whilst these two are still fighting over honours for the final podium position. Pelot, who was leading the race, had to come in with some form of issue. And now he's left himself in a fight for a podium against Felipe Nasr, who started the race from 14th on the grid. Pelot was on pole. And Pelot's gone off the racetrack, and he's out! A big crash for Alex Pelot on home turf! It looked like he had some form of mechanical issue. Deary me. I wonder if it was a brake issue for Pelot. By the way, he's out on the penultimate lap of the race. And that ruins HRT's chances of points as well. That promotes Rivera, Guven, Friends, Evans, Estra and Power all up in the points. In fact, Power's managed to get back into the points and he'll go up into 9th place once Estra's time penalty has been applied. What a very mysterious crash that was for Alex Pelot. Front row lookout, neither of the HRTs are going to be finishing. There's Scott Dixon in 2nd place. Porsche locking up in field. I just want this race to be over and done with. Kamui Kobayashi has started the final up of the race, 8 seconds clear over Scott Dixon. Felipe Nasr still holding on, ahead of Nick Tandy. He's got enough of a buffer now. There's Power up the inside of Estra into 9th. Evans is up into P8 with Pelot's retirement. But I think he's going to find it immensely tough to hold Power back here. Australian going by the Kiwi into turn number 1. And Power is through into P8. So a nice combat drive there from Power after being at the back for so long in this one. But there we go to his teammate Kamui Kobayashi, who's about to end the long drought. In his 84th Grand Prix World Series race, Kamui Kobayashi comes around the last corner to win the League One Ricardo Tormo Grand Prix. It's been a long time coming, but the drought is over for the man in your picture. It's been 68 races since he took a race win that he competed in. But finally, he's done it for Minardi. Kamui Kobayashi is the winner. Scott Dixon in second place. And it's a first-time podium for Felipe Nasr, who came in place of Marcus Ericsson. He bags a podium finish, and it keeps Fomitel at the top of the team's championship. Nick Tandy in 4th place for Ducati. And then it's Alessio Rivera in 5th position. And then Chiguven, his teammate, in 6th. Robin Fry in 7th. Will Power 8th. Mitch Evans bags a couple of points for Jaguar in 9th. Jamie Wincott will go up into the points in 10th place because Kevin Estra's time penalty will drop him down to 16th, or 15th rather. They'll promote Brendan Hartley, Teo Porcher, Antonio Felix da Costa, and Jean-Eric Verne. So that drops Estra down to 15th. Magnussen finishes the race a lap down. It's a win for Kamui Kobayashi here in Valencia. It's a long time coming, but it was well worth the wait, if I can get my words out. Kamui Kobayashi wins ahead of Scott Dixon, and it's Felipe Nasr finished on the podium for the first time in 3rd place. Nick Tandy 4th, and it's the 2 Lanciers of Alessio Rivera and Owen Chiguven in 5th and 6th. Roman Vines in 7th for Force India, and then it's the Oceania drivers of Will Power, Mitch Evans, and Jamie Wincott rounding out the top 10. Brendan Hartley in 11th, just missing out, and it's Teo Porcher in 12th. Antonio Felix da Costa and Jean-Eric Verne in 13th and 14th. It's been a lonely race really for Prost. Kevin Estra in 15th position with that time penalty for the collision with Scott Dixon earlier on. Kevin Estra, Kevin Magnussen in 16th place in the letdown, and Max Gunter in 17th. Alex Blow classified in 18th despite crashing out. And then we've got all of those that did not finish, including the likes of Oliver Erlund, Sebastian Buemi, Yuki Tsunoda, Shane van Gisbergen, Stoffel van Dorn, and Raffaele Marcello. Those were the drivers that did not finish. Alex Blow took the points and for pole position and fast lap, but that's all he got from this one. What a terrible show for him and for HRT in their home race. Well, at the 84th time of asking, Kamui Kobayashi takes his 4th Grand Prix World Series win, and I'm sure that won't be the last. Minardi take an enormous ride up the order in the championship. They're closing in on Ducati and Fomitel, who scored well as well. So it's all hotting up. As far as the relegation battle is concerned, Mitch Evans did pick up a couple of points for Jaguar. They're off the bottom and leaving Carlin at the foot of the table, but they have still got an enormous mountain to climb before they head to Marrakesh. In the Drivers' Championship, Kobayashi's win moves him into the lead of the standings. He's now on 73 points, with Van Gisbergen and Tsunoda, neither of them scoring. It's Kobayashi at the head of the pack. It's time to run down on the League One Drivers and Teams Championships in the voice of Topher Smith, and I'll see you for the next round in Marrakesh in a couple of weeks' time. Topher, over to you.
Plenty of reasons to celebrate in that race. A first win for Kamui Kobayashi since Season 2. The drought is over for the Japanese. And Felipe Nasr getting on the podium on his return to the grid. I'm sure that will have secured him a seat for the rest of the season with the Fomitel team. But how has this race affected the drivers and team standings? Let's have a look. Kobayashi's victory today has put him into the lead of the championship, 73 points for the Minardi driver, and he is 12 ahead of Shane van Gisbergen, who drops down to second. Ahanshin Guven 3rd on 58 ahead of Yuki Tsunoda on 57. Scott Dixon 5th on 52 ahead of Rafa Di Marcello. Jamie Whincup, Alex Palou, who so nearly scored some points on home turf but crashed out towards the end. Nick Tandy on 34, and Marcus Ericsson still in the top 10 despite having not raced today. And in the teams, Formitel holds on to the lead on 102 points, but Minardi has moved up into second and is now 4 points off the lead. 98 points for Giacomo Pagliaro's team, and they are well and truly in the fight for the championship this season. Ducati 3rd on 95 ahead of Lancia on 72. All 4 Italian teams in this league are in the top 4 positions as it stands. Force India 71 ahead of Arrows on 70, HRT on 67. Really disappointing for John Monroe's team given how quick their car has been. The unreliability has set them way down the order. Cooper Akiro 8th on 50 ahead of Prost on 41, Onyx on 36, and then BAR, Jaguar and Carlin still in the relegation zone, but a couple of points for Jaguar today has moved them off the bottom and ahead of Carlin. So 2 really enjoyable races here today in Ricardo Tormo. It's been a fantastic event and we can't wait to bring you the next round in Marrakesh at Morocco. That was quite chaotic last season. Will we get more of the same this season? Well, we hope you tune in for that. But until then, thank you so much for watching along with us. It's always a pleasure to have your company. I'm Topher Smith. Take care.